Hey there, everyone. My name is Brandon Gentili, and I am an IT analyst here at ProVal. Today, I would like to talk to you guys about disk space, specifically looking at disk space in BrightGauge. This is kind of important. As we all know, Windows 10 will be reaching EOL this October, and so we want to make sure that we have enough disk space available to upgrade those OSs. Some of those updates require a lot of space, and we have to make sure that we are able to do so. So I'm here in BrightGauge. I'm using ConnectWise RMM for my data source, and I'm using this disk space utilization summary data set. And what I've got so far on my screen is a very simple list gauge. I've got a column for my site name, a column for my system name, and a column for my partition name. Something I want you guys to know before we get too far into this about this data set is that it does record details for each machine for every day for the last 4 months. So to show you that, if I remove this filter I've got thrown up here, we'll see that I'm getting the same machine over and over and over again because it is pulling the data from that machine stored in RMM for the last 4 months. I don't care about the disk space of the machine 4 months ago. I want the most up-to-date information possible. So what I'm going to do is over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to take this calendar date option. I'm going to throw it to a filter. I'm going to change the equal to the last n days. I'm going to make that value 1. I'm going to exclude today, exclude the current day. And so now you'll see I've got a list of information. This does give me yesterday's data, but disk space doesn't usually change that drastically from day to day. So in most cases, yesterday's data is okay for this, especially for our purposes today. So we're going to get yesterday's data, and this gauge will stay live and update every single day with the disk space available. So now we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and start looking at some disk space. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because disk space inside of BrightGauge in this data set is not exactly reader friendly. And I'll show you what I mean. If I take this partition total space in bytes and I make a new column for that, hello, you'll see what I mean. We get this long number here that I'm not great at converting in my head. So we're going to talk about how to fix that today. Let's also, while we're at it, go ahead and get our use space and throw that in there. And we'll get our free space in bytes and throw that in here. So now you'll see we have 3 new columns. We have our total space in bytes, our use space in bytes, and our free space in bytes. Now we're going to make this a little bit more human friendly. And there are 2 ways we can do that to get to where we need to. We can either go to the design tab up here and click on the bubble for each one of those columns, or we can click on the column header up here as well, and I'll show you both methods so you see they're the same. So the first one, we're going to convert our total space in bytes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this up here so it looks a little bit nicer as well. Oop, hello. Let's delete all that. There, now I got capacity. So the key thing you need to know to convert this into gigabytes or megabytes or kilobytes or whatever whatever the most accurate value is going to be for that size is you just have to remember 0 B. 0 is going to tell it to round to the nearest whole number, and B is going to tell it to convert that data into gigabytes or kilobytes or megabytes or whatever the closest value is. So if I hit apply now, you'll see that here we go. We have changed the title to capacity, and we have changed the number to the nearest whole number value of gigabytes in this case, because all of these are going to have gigabytes of drive space. We can get a little bit more specific if we'd like to. If I click on the column at the top here to get the same kind of window I did in the last one, let's just change this title again to use space so I feel better. Now we have our nearest whole number. So let's say now we want to get to our nearest first decimal place. That's easy. So we'll still add 0b because that is key. We do want to round and we do want the conversion. But we're going to do, instead at the front of it, we're going to add a pound sign. We're going to add a decimal place. So this is saying give us the number before the decimal point, and then give us the first decimal place, but we're going to round it. That's what that 0 is doing. And that b is saying we're going to convert the unit. And you'll see if I hit apply, sure enough, boom, we have our number at the front. We now have a decimal place that's rounded to the nearest value, and we have our conversion as well. To add a second decimal place, we follow the same process. We'll click on the title here. Let's just go ahead and call this free space again, so it just makes me feel better. It's a little bit more human friendly. We'll add a pound sign for our whole number. We'll add a pound sign for our first digit. We want an accurate first digit. And then we're going to round our second digit, and we're going to use our B to convert that value to the gigabytes. And then here we go. We see now we have 78.62. We have our second value. This is rounded. It might be 619, it might be 621, whatever it is, but we are rounding to that 62 here, and we have converted to gigabytes, and this looks a lot more nice for me to read. To make this a little nicer and have a little bit more usable data, we can change the design of this a little bit more. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sort this data so that we get the lowest amount of free space on top and the highest amount on bottom. So if I'm still under the design tab and I go to sort over here, I can choose my free space field. I can choose ascending, so we're going to go from lowest to highest. And now I can see at the top the machines with the least amount of free space, and at the bottom we have machines with the most amount of free space. And to make this even more helpful, maybe I don't want to know the machines I don't have to worry about. Maybe I only want my biggest offenders. We can set a limit on this. So we can say, hey, limit down here. Show me the 5 machines sorted from lowest to highest in free space. So now we're going to cut off at 5, and we can see here now our 5 machines that are our biggest offenders. And oh, that's my machine on there. Look at that. So now here we go. We have a gauge that shows us our 5 machines with the least amount of free space. So I can look at this later and say, okay, what OS are these machines on? Do I need to upgrade them? Do they have enough space to do so? And that's pretty much it. That's how you convert those long lists of bytes into gigabytes so they're a little bit easier for you to understand. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do post a new video every week to share our knowledge on various RMM products or BrightGauge or anything like that. So let us know what else you'd like to see, what you're interested in, if you want any other specific topics covered. And as always, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Have a great day.